Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave with the amazing Beverly Downen. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for what we've shot a few videos here today, and these will be up on Tested. And if this is going out second or third, we'll include the links to the others in the description. But Beverly, I need your help with your eyes looking through a costume I've recently bought.
Well, I am very excited about this costume that you have.
You can tell what it is.
Vibrating with excitement. Yes.
So last year at Silicon, you wore a really beautiful still suit that you built. I hilariously thought that was your real hair.
Yes.
And I love the costumes from Dune, and the still suit, the moment I saw a trailer, it was one I wanted to replicate. But as we experience a lot, these costumes, often just getting to start building one of these costumes takes a lot of mental research to put the costume in your head.
Absolutely.
And the still suit is tons of little parts that are all very important how they fit together. And recently on the Replica Props forum, this came up for sale in the junkyard. And it was a tiny bit more than I wanted to spend on a sort of precursor to building a costume, but it was all my size.
That's perfect.
And, right, like that is like
sign.
This is a great way in which I can get into a costume. So I just wanted to walk you through parts and get your reaction, and then talk about accuratizing.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So first and foremost, they have a scarf to wrap around out of this lovely, lovely fabric, which feels very authentic.
It does. I can imagine this blowing in the desert.
Right.
Desert wind.
And this is actually cut as a tunic that goes over your shoulders.
Oh, great. I like the weathering on this.
I do like the weathering on this, and I really like how the fabric lies. I like the what do you call it? The crepe, that crepey looking.
Ooh, yeah, it feels great.
Yeah.
This is a nice, simple way that they did the armholes. I made mine way too complicated, I think. I attacked mine from like a sewing kind of a standpoint, but this looks like a sheet.
Right, and it's like sort of what you do as a nomad.
What you probably do as a nomad. Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, that was one of the things that helped sell me on this. And then there's, wait a second. Yes. So the shoes are my size. They seem pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah.
The gloves too are sort of generic, but they went through and did the knuckles on the wrist like the real ones.
Yes, this is something that I have yet to add to my costume. So this is a wonderful detail.
Well, it's a thing because the gloves are not cheap, and you need to buy a whole second pair just to tear them apart and do this.
That's true.
It's one of those things that I would resist, right? Like, I don't want to spend an extra.
But look how great it looks.
Yeah, actually, cool. I think the weathering that they've done is both durable and really good looking.
Do you know what this is?
I don't.
What kind of weathering
I haven't reached out to the guy I bought this from to ask about how he did this.
It feels like paint of some sort.
Yeah, but it's got
like a spray paint.
Yeah.
It's a little chalky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels sandy.
Yeah.
It looks like it's, and same thing here. I think this is Fuller's Earth or crushed walnuts. These are the spats. These are totally wrong. These don't fit me. And all I need to do is tear that out and move it to fit my legs.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm understanding what this is now.
Yeah, these are the
goes
boot
around
spats
the legs.
that go right there.
Okay.
And then this is the belt, which I think is one of the lesser accurate parts. I think there's a lot more detailing on the back of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in here, like the grid kind of. I don't know what it is, but you can see the inner workings of whatever the fluid collection bladders are. Maybe it's like a filtration system that you can see here. I think that's what that is.
Gotcha.
But and I have these same buckles on my costume.
These are those sort of imitation Delta buckles that are great.
Yeah.
The cod piece, of course, isn't rounded; needs a lot more.
Right.
The X-Cozer. This is the internal suit, and this is by X-Cozer, who we know as a purveyor of sometimes accurate, often like good parts to start with.
Yeah.
And actually, I think this undersuit is pretty respectable, save for the piping down here where the crotch is. It actually feels pretty darn great.
Look at this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They did great on this. Is this a pocket that goes all the way through? No. But you can still see that detail. See, the details that I love in costumes are the things where this should continue down underneath the fabric,
and you
can see it.
And you would notice, your eye would go to it if it didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the hard parts on the arms are actually quite reasonable.
That's great.
They're nice and light.
They nailed it. Yep. I wonder how they attach. Oh, they just sewed that in.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with mine right here because it doesn't. There's no seam there to attach it to.
Right.
So I hot glued it.
Hot glue and fabric, though, is almost a permanent solution.
Yes. Yep. I tried a couple different things, and then I just finally reached for the hot glue.
How does the back look? These thigh pads?
This looks great. And there's a detail on the costume that you don't see, and it doesn't happen here. But so this piece, I think, needs to be lowered a little bit because in the filtration system, these are little bladders. Like this line comes down, and you can see it traveling down.
Yeah.
There should be lines that attach these two little guys to this one, and it's a short. It doesn't travel very far. So I wonder if this might be a little high.
Sure, I can certainly.
Or a little long. Maybe you make this a little shorter.
Excellent. Up here, I think this stuff looks pretty great. It's actually like a folded rubber material, so
This is great.
It's got a texture I like. Also, if you feel it, it's actually quite light. Like,
oh, it is.
You know, we're all going to sweat in our costumes no matter what. But I also liked this with the over tunic. Felt like a pretty breathable kind of reality.
I like how do they do that? That's oh neat. They just sewed some fabric and kind of made it a scrunch.
Yeah. I
love seeing how people did things and how comparing them to how I did mine.
Right.
On mine I used it was a heat transfer vinyl that puffs up.
Yep.
When you apply heat.
Sure.
So that's what I had available. I didn't think about using fabric. That's really clever.
X-Cozer, like I said, for me, when I buy this, even if I end up remaking everything in the costume I purchased, it gives me a sort of a starting point.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're looking at all this in the abstract, you don't know what's important and what's not important. There's too many details to kind of break down in your head. This is fabric for the side of the mask. The mask is 3D printed. I do like this fabric. I think that feels... What do you think of that as mask fabric? Is that pretty close to what you chose for yours?
I chose one that had a little bit more stretch, but that was only because I decided to sew mine onto my mask, and I wanted to be able to pull it taut. This does have a little bit of stretch. So
is it two-way or one-way?
It's a two-way, but on the bias, it stretches. But I do like this. It's got some structure.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be able to paint this pretty well.
Oh, nice. You have your mask here, yeah? Oh,
I do.
Wait, no. Yeah,
my mask is right here.
Oh, look at that. And yours is all additive foam while this is 3D printed. That is gorgeous.
So this is a 2mm EVA 70, which is a little bit more dense than the regular craft foam that you would find.
A little more like neoprene.
Yeah. It's very, and that's what my whole chest piece is. My entire costume is made out of that.
Okay.
It's just a little harder to tear, but still very light. And I have actual ventilation in this.
Oh, look at you. You can breathe through it.
You can breathe through it. You can actually fit a mask through it because I made this during pandemic times and I wanted to make sure I could still wear a mask underneath it but have it hidden.
Fair enough.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, so I just have a little bit of mesh fabric in there to hide my face from being seen on the outside because there are air gaps. But it still allows me to breathe.
Is this black hot glue?
Yes, it is.
What?
Yes. It's from Surebonder. They make really great.
They do make everything.
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. And I do, I see what you mean about the fabric. Is this Canon, that circle in there?
It is.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's very subtle.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a design thing, but you can see it. Yeah, you can see it pretty predominantly on their costumes.
Amazing.
Or on their masks.
All right, we're getting to the meat and the real fire on this costume.
Yes.
This is the chest piece. Tell me what your thoughts are.
I think it's a good start.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a good start.
I think it's a good start.
It needs. I think some of these need edge piping. Am I right?
Yes, and I think there's some angles in here that could be taken away just to kind of streamline some of it. I mean, I'm very specific with.
Oh yeah,
here I am.
Specificity
is
so. Break out your chest piece.
Okay,
Let's talk about them together.
I brought mine. And we can see them next to each other, actually. And this might have to do with my size. So I'm smaller,
Sure.
so things are going to be a little bit more compact.
Right.
But this line right here, this filtration line,
yeah,
I think that might be a little big.
I think
here.
you're right. Yeah,
because
totally.
When I was building mine, they're all about the same size as the other parts. There's really just a couple of variations of the size of this.
Oh, so you're looking at the diameters, and their diameters are really similar.
Right. And proportionally, they do still need to fit, through threading through all of this.
It's interesting how many aesthetic differences there are. I mean, I see that their layering of this part here is a solution to not have to do the molding of the foam. I mean, what's really likely is I'll end up rebuilding this completely from scratch. I do have a kit that I bought from the RPF that is more accurate than this, but it still might not have details like this. And this really helps me because I know your commitment to fidelity.
Yes.
And I think one of the interesting things about, actually, it's just educational. Like, this has all the same beats.
Yes.
But this coalesces in a way that this does not quite. And I think that's sort of the maturity of high-level costume building, right? You were probably doing all sorts of small things and shifts to.
I totally was, and I was going into I was agonizing over every single detail and every little edge and paying attention to. I was sanding down all of the tiny little edges and making sure that this was wide enough or not too wide, or making sure the slits were big enough and not too big, and making sure that proportionally it sit where it needed to sit on me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed in the movie, some of the parts of the costumes, they're in different places on the actors. And I think
it depends on their size.
It depends on their size, but they have underneath, I would love to see the rigging system underneath for some of the bladders that have to move with their body as they are. Because there's something, the piece that's down here that's attached. This is attached somehow, but you can't really walk around unless you have some sort of flexibility here with this piece. Otherwise, it would just rip apart.
Right.
So that's why mine isn't attached, actually,
so
that I could have
piece.
it as an adjustable. I just use a little bit of Velcro for mine.
Didn't you love reading about how the costumers had their whole, like they built these as basic frameworks, but every actor had it sort of custom built on them?
And I can see why.
Because even a small difference between two people means that some part of this is going to look way bigger here or wrong.
Absolutely. And I had to make a few design decisions on mine because my shoulders are narrow and, my torso is a little bit shorter. And so I had to compress things or make things bigger in some places just to get the proportions down.
Oh, and you've gone with a very simple back. This is a highly detailed back.
This was something that I was almost going to do, but I was afraid of getting overheated.
Sure.
So mine is just this.
That's brilliant.
Because I was going to have a cape anyway, so I wasn't worried about it.
This is releasing, like my Kylo Ren costume. The inner tunic has no breathability, and it goes under an outer tunic.
Oh,
right. It's like
you don't wear that for very long.
No, I mean my Captain America under tunic is just mesh. That's all it needs to be because you don't see over it. I think that's the more likely place I'm going to go. Are these tightenable for you or no?
They are. They're attached to
can,
hook and loop. I can actually take all of these pieces apart and lay them out flat and put them together again.
No way.
Because I've used Chicago screws to
Chicago
attach
screws.
Everything. So
yeah,
my pieces come apart. I've got a big one panel here that just attaches here, and then that's actually coming apart. But
so then I'm curious about this stuff going on here. They've spent a lot of time on these buckles here on the side, and I'm not seeing it here. I mean, I don't have movie reference material here. Right, I see.
So I'm trying to think because I don't have the rest of my costume. There is a lower belt part.
Right.
And that
goes over that, right? That is part of,
yes. Okay, so that's the part, okay.
And then this comes around and does that?
Yeah, so let me put this down.
All right.
And so this would go...
like around there.
I think that this goes... Oh, I see. Okay. So this goes underneath. Why? I feel like there's two here.
It could be. It could be that there's...
Oh, it's just an extra layer. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. So when you're wearing it, it goes probably like this.
And that's how they solve the problem of the movement you need in here.
Yes, I think so. Because these go on your waist like here-ish.
They kind of
That's
sit
where that goes.
right where the bone of your pelvis is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this would be...
Yep.
Come around like that.
It's a low slung.
Yeah. And so on my costume, I have this piece attached to my pants.
Ah,
and then my an adjustable elastic here
with
to
a little
keep
Velcro
it keep it together, so I can move.
That's great. That's great. I really appreciate this. This just arrived a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted, like, you know, I've been looking at my reference material and I've been looking at pictures, but I needed a pair of experienced eyes. And there's this thing that whenever I see someone wearing a costume that I have built, I feel so much love for them.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that we have suffered for the same reasons.
Yeah,
right?
there's that one detail that you couldn't figure out. Like nobody figured that out. How did you figure that out? This is how I figured it out. So I love that, and I love going to conventions because that's where you get to have that feedback with people.
Yeah, and how radically different. Like there are, again, like we were saying, topologically they're quite similar, but in the aggregate they look super different because of all those little decisions. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. This was a treat.
I will let you know where I'm going to wear this. If you're going to that con, we should do still suits.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Beverly, thank you so much. This is just what I needed. A little bit of an experienced eye on this costume.
Thank you. This was really fun.